Anita Dille, and I had the opportunity to share information on how cover crops can be incorporated into an integrated weed management plan. And the three main takeaways that I shared with the group is knowing what weed species is the driver for your weed management decisions, and then knowing when those weeds emerge in the field so that you can make good decisions about what cover crop species you should select to plant and when, whether it's a fall or a spring seeded. And then really thinking of your crop rotation sequence and how to fit that into that sequence. A lot of times there's a big concern of should I plant a cover crop or not, because it either can conserve water or potentially use up a lot of water. So growers are worried in our very diverse Kansas environment if they will have enough moisture for their cash crop and should they plant a cover crop or not. And so then we are interested in exploring how much water does it use and when should I terminate it in order to make sure that there's enough water for the subsequent cash crop. I've been able to talk about cover crops for a few years now and the general idea of using them for weed suppression, but now farmers are really getting to the point of fine-tuning their system, and so those are research questions that I'm then exploring. So we've got a lot of one-year examples of research work that we've done looking at, for example, termination timing. When do we terminate our cover crops prior to our cash crop, and what's the optimal way of doing that to suppress our weeds in that situation? And so 1 year study tells us one thing, and then we always need another year to make sure that it's consistent. A lot of times it is a challenge for me to speak because I go across the state of Kansas or around the area to talk about cover crops, and I need to be aware of their moisture environment, their crop rotation sequence, and where they might fit a cover crop in there. And so it's challenging for me to go to each place to highlight relevant research for them, but also then for the grower in that area to really step back and think of their own system. There isn't a cookie cutter recipe that I can give them to say this is how you're going to get weed suppression with a cover crop, but that they have to ask themselves these questions and reflect on what they're doing in their farm to be able to fit cover crops into their system and get the benefits that they want. There's a lot of different questions that growers ask in regards to fitting these cover crops into their system. And things go from how much residue do I have? Is that persisting long enough to actually suppress the weeds? Are there going to be impacts of that cover crop on my cash crop and the yield that I want to produce? And am I going to get the benefits that I expect to get out of it? So a lot of big picture questions, as well as some of the fine-tuning questions, such as what seeding rate should I use? Do I need to add fertilizer to that cover crop to produce the biomass I need for weed suppression? And then of course at the end, how do I terminate it and when? I've had really good luck when I do these presentations to meet with farmers, and a lot of them are interested in having me come and do little plot studies on their own farm. And so a lot of chances to really try it on their own place and in their own system to be able to do that. So the termination timing studies, we've got experiments all the way from Colby down to Parsons across the state on farmers' fields to look at how we can fine-tune these in their area. So there's opportunities for me to connect with more growers and to potentially have experiments on their fields. They can get a hold of me at the Department of Agronomy at Kansas State University in Manhattan. On our website, you can find me at dieleman@ksu.edu is my email. But just the chance to hear their questions, and if there's a way that either they can do their own study or that I can have folks come out and set up small areas to try some of these things on their place.